Welcome back to another episode of Your Daily Real Estate. I'm Tristan, your host on this one. And today we're going to talk about skills versus talents, but not in the way you think. First, this episode is brought to you by brillianttribe.com. Check us out online. That's where we help you grow your business through coaching, group coaching, one-on-one, and a bunch of other amazing things. Check us out. Let me know what you think. But let's talk about this skill versus talent. And I was lucky enough growing up that one of my first jobs was telemarketing. In fact, it was my first job, and then I jumped into more telemarketing. So I learned early on how to connect with people and what to say, so much so that it comes naturally now. So it's a skill that I learned over a long period of time. And I would say I don't naturally have a lot of talent when it comes to that. So it was more skill building. But I've had to practice it over and over and over. Does it come more naturally to me? Yes, but here's the key. Whether you're naturally talented at talking to people and engaging with them and making them feel amazing, or it's a skill that you're learning, getting better at, maybe not so good, you're going to have to practice either way. And here's what you do. You practice when you're in front of brand new people, in person or on the phone. And here's the thing that you practice. Write this down, remember it. It's the question game that pertains to whatever it is they brought up. That means, and I play this at the dinner table with my kids. That means if you're talking to someone, let's say it's Joe, that's my imaginary friend. Hey, Joe, meet him at a party. And Joe starts talking. He's like, hey, where do you work? I'm like, oh, I'm in real estate. And I'm like, hey, where do you work? And then he tells me he's maybe a marketing person. I'm like, Joe, that's great, man. What do you market? And he's like, well, we've been doing a lot of cars and we have a whole team that markets. I'm like, awesome. What was your favorite car that you marketed? And he's like, oh, well, you know what? We really like the Ford GT that we did a few years ago. I'm like, man, have you ever been in one of those cars? That's probably my dream car. And then keep going and going and going. And this is how you practice. You practice by asking questions that pertain to whatever they're bringing up. And you dig deeper and you make them feel amazing. You make them feel like you're actually caring about what they're saying, because you are. But at the same time, you're sharpening your skills in the questions you're asking. So practice this. I practice this at parties, on the phone with online leads. And you've watched me do this with live calls if you're on our 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern call on Thursdays. But you're listening and you're watching me. I want you to practice this. Practice this on the phone. Practice it with your family, with your kids, with your spouse. I practice it with my spouse sometimes. Anytime I feel like I'm not connecting with her deep, and I just go further and further and further. And at the end, it's like, oh, you know what? It's almost like I hacked it. Hopefully she's not listening to this one. But I want you to try that. Ask questions that pertain to what that person that you're talking to is bringing up. Dig deeper, and you make them feel more amazing. It's that simple. I'll talk to you tomorrow.